for these guys. Let's have a quick word with the man from Dudley, Luke Quigley. How are you today, Luke?
Feeling fine.
What happened? Obviously, you had a bit of a spill last week when you went for the Worlds one-off, but back in the normal services have been resumed. On the third row, though, we're used to seeing you up on the front.
Yeah, last week at the World I just missed a gear coming out the chicane before I knew I was on the floor. But third row here, we had a bit of problem in first qualifying, a slight problem with the engine, but hopefully we've got this bike up here now, see how we can go.
Are you worried about the rain?
Nah.
That's what I love about these guys. You know, the minute I start thinking, well, I'm getting a bit wet out here and feeling a bit... Now, these guys are so tough. They just hang with it. Look, pouring down now, absolutely pouring down. Let's have a word with Tom Sykes because it's going to be a tough day for him too. What are you doing back here, first of all? I like to see you up in the front, and you reminded me how I didn't speak to you when you're on pole, but I'm going to talk to you now.
Yeah, I know. I was a bit disappointed when you didn't come and see me well in pole position, but never mind, we're back here, but we're still in with a shout of winning. I mean, I'm only, 20 foot away from the lads, so we'll see. I think we've got a decent race set up, so we'll see you get a good start, and who knows.
Now, you're a good northern lad. You won't be worried about this rain, will you?
Nah, it's only a bit of rain. Can't hurt no one, this.
Well, watch out for the rain because it's now getting really bad. Let's move a little bit further forward and see if we can have a word with Jay Vincent, who, well, I was reading an article in the other day in Racer magazine about the forgotten racer. Well, no one's forgotten him for sure because Jay, you're not forgotten at all, are you?
How can you forget me, eh?
We like your new haircut.
Nah, it's all right, isn't it? Fast.
What about this particular weather? Now it's pouring down. Are you making any thoughts on what you might do now?
I'm going to leave that up to my mechanics, and I'm sure they'll do a good job.
But seriously, do you, in these conditions, obviously you've got to take it steady. You've got loads of experience. You know some of these guys, but probably like Leon, your teammate, they're all hungry for results. You've been here and done this, though, from Grand Prix all the way down, haven't you?
Yeah, sure, and it is all about making the right choice, and we're not sure at all. We've just been told we've got 10 minutes, so we're trying to decide now what tyres to make, so I don't know. It's going to be a tough call, but hopefully we'll make the right one.
Have you had any wet practice this weekend?
No, not this weekend. Just a little bit damp this morning, but nothing wet, not like this.
All right, J-Mo, keep it steady. We'll hope you go well. Well, it is really pouring down now, so it's not pleasant at all. We are totally soaked, but I mentioned Leon Camia, so let's have a quick word with him. Leon, you're looking rather cool. How about this weather? Everybody else is messing about and changing tyres, and you're just sitting here looking cool.
I don't care, mate. As long as it's one thing or the other, I'm ready for it. So just going to go for the win here, basically.
Which would you prefer?
I'm not really bothered. I like the rain and I like the dry. I think we had a really good race set up for the dry. So if it rains, who cares?
All right, fair enough. Who cares? He just doesn't care. I want to have a quick word with Matt Llewellyn, who, of course, is on the Ducati. We know in a straight line this thing is a rocket. What about in the wet, Matt? How is this bike?
Never rode it in the wet, Jonathan.
So how do you feel about today? Yeah, but you've had a funny season. We used to talk to you every weekend, but we've hardly seen you because you haven't been qualifying as well, have you?
No, we had a real good qualifying session at Thruxton. And just in the race, we had a problem with the bike, and it unfortunately cut out. So real disappointing. But the team's been working hard. You know, the Ducati Coventry Lloyd's Racing team worked hard. The bike's, brand new this year. The team's brand new, so it took a fair bit of time to get where we are now.
Not being one to stir it up, but that man there said that you weren't ready for this anymore this season. You've got wet weather. You've got a fast bike. How about giving him one today?
That's why I'm sat behind him, mate.
Well, fair enough. We've stirred it up nicely, I think.
And could I just mention to Keith that I did do the lap on my own today. I know he had a go at Thruxton.
You heard it first. Ooh, this is fighting talk. I do love all this. Stirring it all up. Let's go a little bit further down. Per Reba comes from Barcelona. It doesn't rain in Barcelona at the moment. Per, what do you think?
I don't know. We see what happens, I mean, this is no good. I mean, just in the grid it's starting to rain, but anyway, we see.
And how do you feel about Stacey's running in there? Stacey's getting wet. You all right?
I'm fine, thank you.
She's getting wet as well. What are they going to do? Are they going to go for whites, obviously?
Sorry?
Okay, they're obviously a little bit too busy. Let's see if we can get to Carl Harris, the championship leader, and see if he's keeping cool. Per's obviously trying to keep his team cool, make sure everything's right. Simon Andrews is looking cool. Here he is. Well, I'm getting soaked over here, mate. How are you doing? Everybody's running around except you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're just changing our suspension tyres. I mean, I think we're quite lucky because we've got Wayne Lamb from White Power who's changed our suspension, which no one else has really got, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're in that position. Does that bother you in any way? Because, I mean, that's a lot of changes to make.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we've raced in the wet before, so we've got half an idea what sort of setup we want, so we'll just put it to that and fingers crossed, eh?
It's nice being in a factory team, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right, well, let's go and have a quick word with Simon Andrews while we've got the moment, because This isn't an easy time for any of these young guys. I mean, you can see now it really is pouring down. Simon, I'm absolutely soaked, mate. Do you mind if I stand under your brolly? How are you? This can't be easy for you to organise.
No, I mean, we had a dry practice this morning and supposedly it was wet. So, I mean, I was really happy about 5 minutes ago. The sun was out, I was going to enjoy a nice race. Within 2 minutes, we've had to change tyres, change everything. So, we're just going to play it as it goes.
You've got to be sensible here, haven't you? You've got to start thinking about this. Carl obviously is leading the championship. He might be just a little bit more ginger than you will be into that first corner.
Yeah, I can't afford to lose any more points. I've not scored in 2 rounds, so we're got to be in it to win it. So we're going to take it steady. This is the first time this place in this part of the country's had rain for a long time, so it's going to be greasy.
Okay, well, best of luck to you, mate. In it to win it, don't bin it. That's the key today. We've spoken to Per. We're back here with Lafferty because obviously Carl Harris on pole position, championship between him and Michael Lafferty. I'll just see if he wants a quick word. Well, I don't know. How about it? Luck of the Irish today. It's not that nice out there, is it?
Oh, definitely not. I couldn't have hoped for any worse conditions. We're sitting here with our dry bike on the grid. We're putting wet tyres in, so it's not ideal, but it's the same for everybody. It's a last-minute thing. We thought we were going to miss the rain, actually, but we're just going to have to get out there and try and keep it steady as I can and just use a sensible head, and hopefully we're there at the end. But nothing's sure in this weather, so just fingers crossed.
Is this a day where you play the percentages rather than worrying about wins and all the rest of it? You know what the points difference is.
Yeah, the points are close, so it's a safe point score today, and just as our man Twed says, softly, catchy monkey. We'll just take it slow, and hopefully we'll be there at the end. So we'll give it a shot.
Well, best of luck to you, and I don't really want to distract you any. And as you can see, it's raining.
You look lovely with a wet t-shirt, Jonathan.
To some of our viewers.
But certainly not nowadays. So the gantry has got water in. World Superbikes 1995, I'm reliably told, was the last time a race was started at this level. And there it goes. Big sideways from Carl Harris. Great start from Perry Reaver. Even better for Leon Camilla. In fact, it's Jay Vincent. Jay Vincent has come through. Jay Vincent on 24. Well, we did one of my 16 race winners was Jay Vincent, so I can claim something. A 16th of that glory, I suppose. Up into Druids, what am I talking about? We've still got a long way to go yet, like 17 laps. Perry Reaver in 3rd place. That's Michael Lafferty in 4th place at point number 4. Number 9, Reaver goes up the inside of Carl Harris at Graham Hill. That's a nice move from Perry Reaver. I think he might have been one of Neil McKendy's 20 race winners' choices as well.
He was up there, yeah.
Carl Harris now sliding up the inside. Does he at Sterling's? Surtees, sorry, no he doesn't. Still Jay Vincent out front, the ex-Grand Prix 250 runner and 250, 2 times 250cc British champion. On bike 24, the Paget's Honda, run by Clive Paget. The Paget's family synonymous with British motorcycle racing. Look at the state of that condition as our camera looks to try and find a way through the fog of spray that is thrown up down Pilgrim's Drop, the back straight we call it. And
Carl Harris to the front.
Out of the fog has come Carl Harris. Nothing foggy about his direction, that's for sure. Paul Young going right backwards with that cut slick virtually in the back of his motorbike. What a gamble that was. Number 1, Carl Harris out front. Then it's 24, Jay Vincent. Number 9, Perry Reaver, the Spaniard, in 3rd place for the MSS Discovery Kawasaki crew. And that looked to me, was that 17 sneaking up?
Carl Harris at the moment there.
Leon Camier was joining him as well. So Leon Camier, the other Paget's Honda, right there. Well, Carl Harris might have had a moment, but he's still in front. I think we can expect a few more moments as this race goes on.
Yeah, at moments like that not affect Carl. He's a brilliant off-road rider. The word in the paddock really is that Dunlops make an excellent wet tire. Carl Harris on the Dunlops at the front, followed by Jay Vincent and Perry Reaver on the Metzlers, which is pretty much the same as a Pirelli.
Yeah, I think you'll find that Jay Vincent...
Oh, someone off there. That looks like Michael Lafferty.
Yeah, off the track, but back on again. He's got a bit of knots going up into Druids now, though. Will he run it out wide? I'll tell you what, he touched the old curb right at the edge, didn't he? The white paint, and that's had him right on.
It doesn't take much. You can see the gaps appeared there from him having the moment. Everyone just been a bit cautious and lost half a second.
Jay Vincent is on Dunlops as well,
Jay
I can tell you.
Vincent out of the saddle.
Yeah, well, Jay Vincent's on Dunlops, and the Metzler man moves through. That is Perry Reaver. His mum and dad is watching this back at home. His wife Eva is watching this as well. They are now plugged into Sky Sports. And, well, they'll be thankful they're not here. Mind you, they've not had very nice weather in Spain either, have they, over the last few weeks? Is that Matt Llewellyn that snuck through there?
Yeah, he had a good start.
Number 2, he's up in something like 5th place, I think, at the moment.
He's certainly way over the line, 6th in that last lap. One guy we have lost is Paul Young.
not surprising.
Well, that is not surprising. There's Matt Llewellyn, 4th place at the moment. Matt Llewellyn has moved through to 4th place from 5th on the grid. So the Ducati Coventry, sponsored by Lloyd's, the equipment and motorcycle aftermarket gear. There he is, Matt Llewellyn. He has got a great style, Matt Llewellyn. Carl Harris said he was a bit long in the tooth at the beginning of the season when Carl was asked to talk about motorcycle races that would be competitive, but Matt Llewellyn in this kind of race conditions around this track knows his way around here very well indeed. Now, Perry Reba, well, well, I don't know what the word I would use there, but outridden them by Jay Vincent. Jay Vincent there on bike 24 with a brand new paint job on his helmet. JV Rocker it's got on the back. Don't know whether you can rock and roll in weather like this, but certainly Jay Vincent in 2nd place is looking pretty damn good. Our cameraman, as you can see, is also getting a good dosing up there of rain into the you see the puddles now at the bottom of Druids. That is so difficult, that is. All the aluminium from the bottom of the cars, the skirts on the cars is ground into that part of the track. The suspension on the cars when they sink just drags all the metal down into there, and the water lays on it and it makes it like ice.
Just when you're hard on the throttle, just getting harder on the throttle on the bottom there where you think you're upright, but it's actually like ice. Matt Llewellyn's making good progress.
Jay Vincent lost all his drive there. Perry Reba. Do you know the great thing about doing commentary? You know, when you're watching something, Neil, I'm watching something else.
Well, funnily enough, on the previous lap, that's exactly what happened to him as well. He was making good progress at the moment coming out of bottom bend there, and Perry Reba got past him. It's exactly the same on that lap.
Well, obviously the Metzler man getting a little bit better drive, but look at the wake at the front of it's like a bow wave at the front of these bikes. What are they doing? Something like 145 mile an hour, 150 mile an hour at the end of that straight. Yes, it is about 150 mile an hour. Carl Harrison leading from Perry Reba, from Jay Vincent. It is Honda, Kawasaki Honda. And then it is Matt Llewellyn closing in on the Ducati. That would be a result for the 749 Ducati. It's been out of it a little bit in this year's pace. Now, rumour has it that Stuart Easton will be coming back. You remember the ETI Ducati runner that's found himself out on a limb a little bit, just hasn't been able to get on with the ETI Ducati in Superbikes. Rumour has it around the paddock he will be riding Matt Llewellyn's spare bike. I don't know whether Matt Llewellyn knows that at the moment, but
that would be a force to be reckoned with. Stuart Easton back in the Ducati in the Supersport Championship.
And that will also up Matt Llewellyn's game. Nothing like a teammate to just make you lift your game. If you're feeling a little bit out of it, then soon makes you focus a bit harder if you've got a teammate that's going to be quick. Matt Llewellyn, though, closing in on Jay Vincent in 3rd place. Matt Llewellyn's on the number 2 bike, orange helmet. The Coventry Ducati machine. And remember, he's in front of the Monster Mob Ducati of Michael Laverty, who is well, struggling a bit now with Carl Harris at the top of this championship.
Simon Andrews back in 6th place. He's the man with the fastest lap of the race, 1:43.778. Simon Andrews on the charge on his R6 Yamaha.
So Llewellyn on bike 2 closing in. There's Laverty on bike 4. 20 is Simon Andrews. You heard Neil talking about him a moment ago. Simon Andrews, he's promised to do such a lot this year. Simon Andrews having a good ride. I'm looking down here now, won in Mundello Park, but really that is the outstanding feature of his last 2 years. In fact, that's the first big race he's ever won, Simon Andrews, and he really has offered up so much potential over the last couple of years. He's been there or thereabouts. He really does need to step up onto that race-winning way a little more often, because I think he's got the talent. Good little team behind him as well, Piranha Racing.
He certainly has, and I remember being interviewed in Mundello. So how does that compare with your other wins? He says, this is the only win. Not a bad place to start.
Won a club level and a national stuff, but never at the big stuff, you know, up here in the British Championship and the like. And he's still, only 20 years old, Simon Andrews, as well. That's always worth focusing on. Meanwhile, the 25-year-old Sheffield man out front, Carl Harris, on the HM plant. CBR 600RR Honda, superb motorcycle by any standards. And Carl Harris, well, he's really stamping his authority on the defence of this championship. Of course, he runs a number 1 plate because he is the defending champion. Perry Reba, quite true to the form that Neil Mackenzie halfway predicted. I'll give you halfway because you predicted a load of others to do it as well. Is there in 2nd place and looking quite comfortable now, Neil.
I think so. That Kawasaki working well. He's an experienced rider, and while they had no wet practice this week, he has had quite a lot of laps around here in wet conditions in the past in his World Supersport Championship. So very experienced rider, and I feel doing a brilliant job this year. Difficult to come to the British Supersport Championships at the highest level ever, but he's competing and running 4th in the championship, but this will do no harm at all at this halfway point of the season.
Needs to be winning. Nick Morgan and Stuart Simmons are the principals of MSS and Discovery, respectively, came together at the beginning of this year, pooled their resources, and of course have got full factory backing from Kawasaki. Perry Reba is a Kawasaki signed factory man.
Yeah, Michael Laverty on the move, fastest lap in that last lap, 142.167.
But still behind Matt Llewellyn there on bike number 2. So Laverty on bike number 4. Really, I think fastest laps in conditions like these, you really do need to put a whole string of them together, but you've got to make the pass as well. And we are on lap 5 of the 17. A long way to go still. And they do seem to be backing up a bit behind Perry at the moment. So Reba in second place under a bit of pressure. Carl Harris, if anything, has a slightly less pressure. Probably will be mindful of what happened to him in the first race here at Couch earlier on in the year when he dumped it on the restart when he had a cold front tyre. Oh, Craig Jones. That's a mechanical failure, not a crash. Craig Jones then got flames coming from the exhaust of the Triumph. Maybe he's got some water in the works, but that bike is not working anymore. So on lap 6 of the 17, Craig Jones has gone out. Carl Harris not extending his lead. 1.3 seconds over the line it was last time. Keep an eye on that. There's Matt Llewellyn, still right there in 4th place, but closing in, as Neil's already pointed out. Michael Laverty on bike number 4. And behind Laverty, bike 20, Simon Andrews. And Danny Beaumont is there on bike number 7. He had a great ride yesterday in qualifying for the Super Stock. He'll be out in the Super Stock race later on today as well. You won't see it on Sky, not on this programme anyway, but you will see it on a magazine programme, bike magazine programme later on Sky if you want to catch up with Danny Beaumont's Super Stock exploits. This is the battle for second place, and it is a developing battle. Jay Vincent's still there in 3rd place on bike 24. Matt Llewellyn has been there for some time in 4th place on bike 2. Perry Reba setting that pace on the MSS Discovery Kawasaki. Kawasaki not featured very much in this series. In other words, there's only 1 or 2 of them. But certainly Perry Reba makes the most of that one. Good little motorcycle. In fact, they're all good little motorcycles. My favourite to look at is still the 749 Ducati. But that, if anything, that's the 749 Ducati. That, if anything, is the most exotic-looking motorcycle of the lot, but I think the Honda comes in fairly close to that.
Absolutely, it's just amazing how much grip they can get in that tiny patch of tyre they've got. And in between that tyre and the tarmac is a layer of water, pretty much aquaplaning everywhere, but just incredible how much grip they're 12 seconds down on the dry. That's Adrian Coates.
Coatesy, it says on his back, he had high expectations, we had high expectations of him. Jonathan spoke to him down on the grid. He seemed very bullish and very confident, but his day ends with a whole load of straw. That's Sterling's corner. It's an easy one to do that with. He was asking for a bit of power at that particular point. The rear end really just spun round on him. I mean, that was just a typical lack of grip because of the water that was beneath his tyre.
Such a fine line.
Yeah, such a fine line. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a bit more of that as this pace hots up. We've still got just under 10 laps of the race to go at the moment. Carl Harris out of Surtees now, up onto the back straight. Looks dominant, but believe me, it's down to 0.9 now. It was 1.3 last time. Danny Beaumont, well, there we go. Danny Beaumont, I said he looked good. Yesterday, looked good in the Super Stock qualifying. I didn't watch him in Super Sport qualifying. Super Stock, when the weather conditions just turned a little bit yesterday, they were just starting to sprinkle, but he seemed to have real confidence out there, and that, I think, is now reflecting through into his Super Sports ride.
It's brilliant. Running in 2 championships is never easy, but you get twice the track time, and we saw at Thruxton how strong he was. Run at the front in the Super Stock class there. Real talented rider and a great leveler of these conditions, and Danny Beaumont just getting right up there, and if he can continue at this pace, there's a chance that he can be looking at a podium position.
Still out front is Carl Harris. I tell you what, you're going to have to start being aware of the water now lying by the curbs, even in a straight line. Did you notice that the water is backing up to the curbs now, and moving out too wide on this circuit might well cause a problem. I remember seeing some Austrian Superbike races years ago where they got a little bit too close to the edge of the track, and all of a sudden it was like a massive bow point.
And there, bottom of Paddock Hill Bend, you can see
it's been like that for a little while though, hasn't it now? Well, with us at the moment would be number 35, Cal Crutchlow. He's with us here, injured at the moment. Deputising for him is Dean Ellison out on the racetrack at the minute. Poor old Dean's been brought into your motorcycle to ride here but that's a tough old call for him at the moment with these conditions, isn't it, Cal?
Yeah, it is definitely, but you know, he's on the Bridgestone tyres, and Bridgestone have always been renowned for great wet tyres, building great wet tyres, and he actually qualified 21st and he's up to 14th, which is a great achievement in his first British Supersport race. I know it's hard jumping from a superbike onto a super sport bike, so you know he's doing well out there, but I'd much rather be out there than sitting in here. I know it's raining, but you know.
That'll make all that metalwork on your hand
A bit
go rusty. Yeah. Thank you for that. Neil's on there as well. Look at this, Michael Laverty now. He's got, well, I don't know, I didn't quite see why he slipped back there, but Michael Laverty's got a whole load of problems coming his way. He must have made a mistake slightly out of our shot. I didn't see quite what was going on. Danny Beaumont's right with him there. Tom Sykes is there with him as well on the other TAS Suzuki. Simon Andrews is with him as well. They're all over him. Leon Camia, that's 17. Leon Camia, 20 is the Piranha Racing. I almost said Red Piranha now. They always just use the handle Piranha Racing. But Michael Laverty in 5th place at this moment in time. This little bunch have slipped back from your leading quartet. Oh dear, there we go. At least he's okay. He's the other side of the barrier.
Look quickly, is it, on a Suzuki?
Oh, tell you what, well, he had an off yesterday, didn't he? Because that's why he's got a white fairing on. I didn't recognise the bike at the time because he's already had a big off. So Luke Quigley then. Well, where was Luke Quigley? He was down in something like 16th place anyway, so outside of the points at this particular point. So Luke Quigley not having an happy day. 1 minute 40 in conditions like this. Carl Harris bangs in a fastest lap. Perry Reba there on the MSS Kawasaki, still second. But he's going to have to work very hard. It's up to 1.7, the difference between the HM Plant Honda man and this guy, Perry Reba. Then it's the Paget's Honda still of Jay Vincent. Vastly experienced. Perry Reba and Jay Vincent. Perry Reba from the World Supersport scene. Of course, Jay Vincent from the actual Grand Prix scene. So both these guys from world level.
Jay Vincent doing a good job there, of course. Already won a race this year. Had a difficult start. He was taken out, or he crashed at Silverstone while at the front. But Jay Vincent, his first year on a 4-stroke machine, on a Supersport machine, being in 250 GPs for a lot of years. He had a one-off ride last year on a Virgin R1 Yamaha Open Park. That wasn't very successful, but this year, full season together on the Paget's CBR 600RR Honda. And a little bit of a wiggle there coming through the new Sheen curve.
I don't think you can avoid having wiggles at this pace. I mean, they really are on a cracking pace, considering those tyres have got to clear so much water. It's just like a road tyre at the end of the day. The water comes in the front end and gets squirted out the sides, and if it don't squirt it out the sides enough, you get an aquaplane, and then you disappear up onto the rough stuff. Someone pulling in pit lane there.
Like a V-Trans Honda, either Tunstall or Paul Young.
So, well, I'm not surprised if Paul Young, I would have thought Paul Young would have pulled in a long time ago, actually, because really that bike will have had no grip at all. The rain has continued to fall here, so anybody that made a mistake of trying to go for a slightly cut slick type tyre, or one with very little tread in it that doesn't clear much water, if it had suddenly come out and dried out here, if the sun had come out and it had dried out, then they would have been on a winner. But there's no chance of that now on lap 10 of the 17, because it is wet, wet, wet. And out front, Carl Harris, 1.2. It's meandering from 0.9 to 1 second to 1.2 second, backwards and forwards, yo-yoing. I don't know whether it's Carl Harris. In fact, let's have a look, 140.4. In fact, no, it was Reba who put in such a fast lap then. Reba now has the fastest lap on lap 9. So Perry Reba, the reason why it's yo-yoing is the fact that I just heard motorcycles crashing.
Oh, that's Leon Camia.
Camia down, so it's the tall Leon Camia that drops it there. I heard it go down in my headphones. And Leon Camia slides out, and he was in 8th place at the time, so Leon Camia now drops out. Now this is going to get very tricky indeed. Well, Paul Young shouldn't even be out there interfering with people like this, to be frank with you. I don't know what he's doing. He's got far more experience than to be getting himself in the way. It's not doing him or V-Trans any good at all. I know he's keeping out of the way to a certain extent, but really it's a waste of time. He's not going to score points, he's not going to learn anything.
Tom Sykes down as well, Adrian Coates' teammate. That's both TAS Suzuki's out of this race.
Well, Hector and Philip Neal, the proprietors of TAS Temple Auto Salvage Suzuki, are not going to be happy with that. They are charged with the works contingent of GSXR 600s. CBR, of course, being a Honda. Ewan, get a grip on yourself. Meanwhile, let's concentrate on the front again. Jay Vincent making that Honda wiggle all over.
He's worrying me because he's pushing so hard. He's definitely the guy that's moving around the most, because he's desperate to get past Reba, get into second position.
Carl Harris moving through then on 48 Chester Lusk on the Casio Tech 2 Suzuki. Now then, back markers are a distinct problem. They really are, not because they are a problem inherently, other than the fact that, of course, in slippery conditions, you have even less opportunity to get it dead on, dead right, to get by them cleanly.
They're working good for Carl Harris though.
That's true, but then again I feel that Carl Harris has made the best of them rather than they being lucky. He certainly looked to me to be quite forceful there, the way he got through them. Harris is merciless when it comes to passing back markers anyway.
Liam Cammy, Jay Vincent's teammate, has no luck at Brands Hatch. Remember earlier in the year, he had a partial blow-up oil smoke pouring out his bike and then eventually went down at Surtees.
Young Paul Veazey there on bike 33, riding for JR Motorsport. So that's Jamie Robinson Motorsport, I should add very swiftly. JR Motorsport is his own team, and Paul Veazey rides for him. Remember Paul Veazey on a 125 not that long ago. He's still very young, of course. Paul Veazey having a ride with Jamie Robinson, but finding himself lapped in atrocious conditions really here at Brands Hatch. Remember, none of these guys have had much in the way of practicing. They got their 2 laps warm-up today, and that's the first time they've raced around here in the wet at this meeting. So if your setup isn't absolutely perfect, you heard I think it was our Michael Laverty at the beginning of this, when he was talking with Jonathan, was saying about he was out on his dry bike with wet tyres on. In other words, out of his 2 motorcycles, he got neither of them set up for the wet. So he had to take, the only punt he could was just slot a set of wet tyres in, maybe adjust the suspension, soften it off a little bit, but that's it.
That's right. For a rider like Laverty, who's on a new bike this year, he's had no wet testing. Once you've had a few wet races or some wet testing with the bike, you know exactly what settings to go to. But for him, to a certain extent, it'll be a bit of a shot in the dark, guessing at wet settings, some softening off of rebound, compression front and rear, and hoping that you get it right. But it really is a bit of a lottery if you haven't ridden before in the wet.
Yeah, experience and team data is everything regarding that. And well, the boy out front has got loads of data. Carl Harris and the Honda men, of course, he's aiming to retain his title if he can this year. He rode that bike last year, he knows exactly what he's doing. And Perry Reber dives to the inside, as does Jay Vincent. He's not going to be caught out by that at all, as they slot under Ian Parkin Coates on the New Image Racing Honda. He's moved to one side. Matt Llewellyn's next in. Of course, we're not saying much about Matt Llewellyn now. Matt Llewellyn, well, we'll say he's a 30-something, shall we? His girlfriend Kirsty, long-time girlfriend Kirsty, is here as well. There he is, Matt Llewellyn, great rider, very, very smooth rider. A man I always think is totally underestimated, as Jay Vincent may have totally underestimated the speed of Perry Reber into Sterling's corner, because I don't know what he was on there, but the pass didn't look on for me.
And Matt Llewellyn's bike looked after by John Hackett, one of the best Ducatis. Well, if not one of the best Ducati technicians in the country.
Yeah, that's a good little team, very tidy team. I always think Matt is a very stylish fella, both on and off track, so it's good to see him up on the higher end of the leaderboard. Although he's been there for some time, he's actually looking like he's putting a little bit more effort in as this race starts to come to a close.
Well, he could be there to pick up the pieces, because Jay Vincent definitely has designs on getting past Perry Reber.
Yeah, Perry Reber, though, out of Jay Vincent and himself, looks the smoother of the two. I've got to say, Reber has looked absolutely immaculate in this race. Out of all of the top 4, we'll say top 3, because I think Llewellyn's looked good all the way through the race as well. But Reber has looked the most stable, even over Carl Harris, your race leader. 3.3 seconds now is the lead over Reber from Harris. He's just done a 39.666. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah,
he's taking the mickey.
I got the impression when he was a second or a couple of seconds in front, he was having a bit of a look round, but it was a confident look, as opposed to a panicky look round. He really was in control and really just doing what it takes. But now he's comfortable and happy going faster, a lot like John Reynolds in the first Superbike race.
Paul Young eventually has pulled in. It says technical problems on the monitor here, but he's in pit lane, so I would say that the technical problems began with the wrong tyre choice in the back. So Paul Young now out. Unfortunate, because he qualified on the front row, and he does deserve a break or 20, because that fella has had such a lot of bad luck over the last 2 years, and he's quite heavily committed in the team. He's running it alongside Robbie Burns from V-Trans this year, and a lot of the input to the team is now Paul Young's, and really they could do with the result, they could do with the lift. We heard him say that on the line, and he personally deserves it probably more than any other. There he is then, Paul Young. Yeah, bit chilly chap. Still smiling as ever though. Garstang from Pirelli there, and you saw Gerrit ten Carter just cross the screen there as well. Gerrit ten Carter, the famous Honda tuner from Holland. Now then, number 1, Carl Harris, the HM plant. It's nice as well to to see HM Plant put on a little display at every meeting nowadays. A whole load of Hitachi diggers are lined up in punterland out the back there.
Well, I'm not sure what the prize is, but you can go and drive a digger and move tyres around. And
actually, I'll be quite happy just to do it.
Buckets and things, yeah, you're a big kid at heart, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, great to see HM Plant, long-term sponsors of GSE Racing and Darrell Healy. Great to see him in the UK Championship this year, John Jones and his company with the official Honda team.
And it's a classy looking team, and it's a full factory team as well. Ian Richards, one of the technicians that are so well known to us, of course, that looks after Carl Harris's bike, a former racer himself. It's a nice, close-knit little team, and I do like the way Carl Harris goes about his business, on track, off track. You know, he's just a nice guy. I mean, he's a very aggressive fella, there's no doubt about that, but still smooth.
Yeah, he's very natural, one of the most natural riders in the paddock in the world. He's just brilliant to watch, always a joy to watch, brilliant riding style, and he just has different lines sometimes that only he knows why he takes them, but they generally work. But long race for a rider when conditions are like these. He's been at the front from lap 1, and he's just, every time I look at these laps, they don't seem to be going down, it just drags on and on. At least he's got something to think about coming up with back markers. That gives him some sort of minor challenge, but he'll be just keeping his eye on his pit board.
Well, it was 3.9 seconds the lead he had before. It's 3.6 seconds. It's now 3.9. Tripping over myself there, premature as ever.
That is a luxury when you're coming off back markers. You can take your time and keep it safe and make sure you get round them in one piece.
Well, number 81 next up, Mike Goodfellow on the AGW roofing bike. Now, that's his first ride out in this Supersport series because his young lady's coming to see me, just 26 years old. So Mike Goodfellow, really, his first British Supersport race of the year on bike number 81. Obviously, again, chucked in the deep end. Yeah, well, yeah, it's a damp old fire today, that's for sure. 60 going through. That's Michael Bradley on the oh, I can't say it. I must be wet now. I've got water in the works. Metropolis Racing, Honda. Number 1, Carl Harris. Behind him now is 77. That is Jamie Robinson. Who could believe it? The ex-Grand Prix guy lapped around here. He's not going to be happy about me commentating, and that is him. So Jamie Robinson, having been lapped for whatever reason. Mind you, it's not been known for Jamie Robinson to take a bit of a punt on tyres as well, because you have everything to gain if you guess right. Everyone else has gone for wets. You can remember back to a fella called Steve Manship at the British Grand Prix, of course, who went and challenged all the top runners. No one would have expected him to, but Steve Manship, if you go back to Silverstone many years ago, but even before Neil Mackenzie's time, he guessed at the beginning, had a downpour, and I can't remember where he finished now, second I think, wasn't it? He thought he'd won. There was a big controversy about it anyway. Lap 16 and 17 we're on now. Nicely picking his way past 60. Michael Bradley on the Metropolis Racing Honda. Yeah, Carl Harris really has got this one absolutely sorted. 3.5 seconds with his lead as he came over the line last time. It dropped a bit from 3.9, but he took his time, as Neil has already said, to get past those back markers. Well, as you may have known from our commentary a little bit earlier, Cal Crutchlow should be out on the racetrack, but he's not because he's injured. He'll be coming back in a round or two's time. Cal's joined us here in the commentary position at the moment. Cal, you're a young man coming good at the moment with regard to this. You moved up from the R6 Cup into British Supersports Racing. Who's the man you want to emulate the most as far as racing is concerned? Are there any out there at the minute in this race?
Yeah, I think everybody, every young rider puts themselves in the position that you want to be in Carl Harris's position, basically. Everybody that's riding the 600 does anyway. He's on a very well prepared machine. But saying that, our bikes, our North Point Echo-Road Honda bikes, are not so far off Carl's bikes now, which is, it's great for the team, my team that's getting up there and riding a very highly tuned bike alongside Carl. But yeah, I'd love to be in this position because he's second in the championship, or probably at the end of this day, probably first in the championship. So
yeah, I can see you touching wood as you said that.
Hopefully, he's only got a lap to go, and I think he'll just take it steady to the line.
I was meant to ask you, Carl, you were in Mandello, you had a really brilliant ride at the front. Carl Harris had to go into the pit lane. You saw him go into the pit lane, and the next time you saw him, he come past you again. Was that a bit of a shock?
Yeah, to be honest, I was just lining up Tom Sykes for the last lap, and I was thinking, yeah, I could be on the podium here. This is going to be great, First time ever at Mondello, and then Carl came straight back past, and I was thinking, you know, did he actually go into the pits or did he cut across the grass?
That's for his right through penalty.
Yeah, well, he got it and he did it and he finished third. But Carl Harris is going to take a win here. He's just put in, and I looked at it, I can't believe it. 1:39.916. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race on the penultimate lap of the race, and we might even expect another, well, maybe not, because there's a couple of back markers in there. 34, he's just gone past Craig Sproston, no mug himself on the Team CSR Honda, and you've got to say that he's just doing it at ease. There wouldn't have probably been a race even if someone had been in his slipstream, to be frank, because he just looked so good on that bike. I mean, looked a bit early on like it was slithering around a fraction, and I wonder whether he'd be able to hold it together throughout the race, but it's just got faster and faster, better and better, despite the fact the conditions are as wet as they are.
It's look, it's stopped raining now, it's still really wet out there. It never was going to be anything else apart from full wet tyres. He's been very comfortable, he's very calm, as you said, he stays very cool, he's looking forward to the race, he's very confident in the wet and the dry.
So then, as he comes underneath the bridge into Clearways for the last time, on through the Clark curve and up onto the Brabham Straight, it is going to be Carl Harris who goes to the top of the British Supersport Championship tree with a fine 25-point win there, over the line for the HM Plant Honda boys. Absolutely superb.
Jay Vincent second.
Jay Vincent gets second place from Perry Reber. Perry Reber had a huge lead over Vincent going into that last lap, so Perry Reber must have made a mistake. I was only looking at the distance. It was 0.7 of a second advantage he had over Jay Vincent going onto that last lap, and so somewhere Reber made a mistake and ends up third onto the podium. So really a disappointment for Reber there, but the second, Jay Vincent finishes in second place. I'm looking to see if Reber has finished. Yes, he did. He just seen the round 7 of the British Supersports Championship. Carl Harris, a fine and dominant win from him. Jay Vincent eventually pipping Perry Reber for that second place, and we'll find out exactly why with Jonathan in just a moment or two. Matt Llewellyn, good fourth for Matt Llewellyn. Welcome back, Matt. Simon Andrews fifth and gets the fastest lap of the race on the last lap in 1:38.1 seconds. A fine effort by Simon. We'll see him back on the podium again soon, later in the year, I'm sure. Danny Beaumont, good ride from him in 6th. Michael Laverty, well, his championship is slipping from his grasp. His main competitor finished 1st. He only finished 7th. Jonathan Ray in 8th. Marley Buckles, Lee Jackson, Barry Venman, Dean Ellison, deputising, of course, for Cal Crutchlow, who was here in commentary in 12th place. Tom Tunstall, 13th. Sam Owens and Jarno Janssen on the Suzuki, rounding out, well, for the last point of this championship day. Carl Harris then 136 now, 20 points lead over Michael Laverty. Laverty will be ruining the day. It rained here at Brands Hatch. Jay Vincent, 3rd place for him. Perry Reber, 4th. Simon Andrews, 5th. Luke Quigley, a crasher, will stay on 65 points. Leon Camia, likewise, will stay on 49. Craig Jones, likewise, out of the race, will be on 8. So not a happy time